Greetings, friends. It's Victor here, and I hope that you're doing well and that you're having a very, very good day, whatever that means to you. About a year ago, I posted a video called Why I Decided Not to Go on Testosterone. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it here in the card. If you saw the video I posted last week, you will know that I have started low-dose testosterone. So I'm making this video to kind of address what happened over the course of the past year, that I went from, this is why I'm not on T, to, hey, now I'm on T. I would like to start off by saying that I fully stand by everything I said in my previous video about why I wasn't on T. Most of my points were around me defining my own masculinity and living out my own gender without the societal expectations attached to those genders and to those gender expressions. Again, I fully stand by those points, and if you're someone who really vibed with that or identify with those types of reasoning, I 100% fully support you in however you're choosing to live out your life, to do your transition, and to express your gender. However, for myself, while I have realized that, yes, 100% I stand by those lines of reasoning and those things that I said in that video, I've also realized that for myself, at least right now, low-dose T is the right move for me. Let me first explain a little bit of why I was relatively adamant that I was not on T. Broadly speaking, there are two very broad categories of dysphoria. There's body dysphoria or physical dysphoria, and then there's social dysphoria. Now, body dysphoria really has to do with you. It has to do with me, like how I feel about my body and how I feel that it accurately or inaccurately expresses my gender. I've always had a very acute sense of my body and what I appreciate about it and what I don't. So for example, I knew for sure that top surgery was the right move for me because ever since I hit first puberty, that was not a part of my body that I ever wanted to interact with, look at, touch, deal with, think about at all. And so for me, I knew top surgery was the way to go to address that physical body dysphoria. On the other hand, social dysphoria really isn't about you. It's not internal, it's not integral, it's not something that you would recognize or understand if you just lived in a vacuum of a universe. Social dysphoria comes when you interact with other people and the ways that other people are picking up on your gender. Now for me, I'm an idealist, and so I always want to think about things in purely theoretical senses, right? And so for me, I was reasoning, if I existed in a pure vacuum of a universe where I was the only person, would I feel like I wanted or needed any of the changes that testosterone would bring? And for me, the answer was, yeah, a few of them, but really on the whole, I didn't feel like I needed that, right? I was happy with my voice. I didn't feel like I needed it to be lower. I don't feel like I need darker, thick body hair. I don't really want a beard. Those aren't things that I really wanted. And so my line of reasoning went, well, if I don't actually intrinsically want any of these things that testosterone would bring, why would I do that? Now, I want to be very clear that I'm not actively opposed to any of the changes testosterone would bring. I just don't feel bad enough or dysphoric enough about my current state to actively go and change it drastically. Because I feel in general, I'm a pretty masculine presenting person. So that line of reasoning was very, very idealistic, right? Because I, in fact, do not exist in a vacuum of a universe. I interact with people most days. I'm very introverted, and so I definitely do stay home over the weekends and things. But I have to go to work. I have to talk to people. I have to buy groceries and interact with store clerks and that sort of thing. And so my human experience cannot be reduced down to the theoretical of me existing as a solitary being in a vacuum of a universe. Because of that, social interaction and society's perception of me is a part of my human experience. And so I do experience social dysphoria, right? There are certain things where I'll be interacting with someone and then I'm getting gendered correctly until I speak, and then they're mamming me and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm wow, I really wish my voice was lower. And again, I'm not opposed to my voice lowering at all. That's actually something that I think I will really like once it's happening. It's just not something that I felt I've actively needed to go out and change, if that makes sense. Although now that I'm thinking about it, for as long as I can remember, I've been actively speaking at the very bottom of my register and actively trying to lower my speaking and singing range. So actually, maybe lowering my voice is something that I've been after for a while. The things you recognize when you're trying to explain yourself to the internet. I think for me, it was very difficult to recognize and acknowledge that social dysphoria is dysphoria, right? And that social dysphoria is just as legitimate and just as valid as body dysphoria. And just because I didn't have massive body dysphoria over not being able to grow very like dark or thick body hair, or, you know, having a generally higher voice, that doesn't like diminish the social dysphoria that I was feeling. Again, I'm not saying that this is for everyone, and if you're someone who has like the previous like line of thinking where you're like, yeah, I'm happy just vibing and doing my own thing and defining my own masculinity or femininity or androgyny, and like I'm just happy like doing my own thing, and you're able to like block out like society and societal pressures, then like that is awesome, good for you. Like I'm so happy for you and like support you 100%. But on the other hand, if you're someone where, you know, maybe you don't have the body dysphoria, but you do have a substantial amount of social dysphoria, and you know that is really impacting the way you live your life and the way you feel about yourself, like that is no less valid than if you had the body dysphoria. So I think that was really difficult for me to acknowledge, that society exists and that I exist within society, and that society is going to perceive me, whether I like it or not. And so, yeah, just because I'm such an idealist and I like really, really wanted to like be able to be totally like detached from other people and other people's interactions with me and thoughts of me and that sort of thing. And I think at the end of the day, I can't, and it's okay that I can't, and it's okay that, you know, I make decisions based off of the social rather than the integral. Now, of course, I'm not saying that like you shouldn't carefully consider whatever decision you make, and that you shouldn't carefully consider both the integral and the social like together, right? Like those things definitely matter, and therapy is very important if you're able to talk to someone who is actually a professional with these things, who knows what they're doing, and who is able to like advise you and help you appropriately. Like that has been like so good for me. So please do that if you're able to. Don't just like go out doing things on your own, please, if you can. But yeah, that's kind of how I recognized that tea was something that I wanted. It kind of got to the point over the course of the past year where I was thinking about being on tea like every single day. Now, in general, I'm someone who, like, I try to live my life and make decisions based on knowing myself and knowing that if I were to get to the end of my life, whenever that might be, and I were to look back on the things that I did and the choices that I made over the course of my life, I know for sure that I would never ever regret something that I tried or a risk that I took that didn't work out. I have had many experiences like that in life to date, and like always, they're learning experiences. The consequences are sometimes like not good, but at the very least, I've learned something and I've tried something, and I know like, hey, it didn't work out, it's okay. Whereas I know if I got to the end of my life and I was looking back, I know that I would regret things that I was too afraid to try, risks that I was too afraid to take, and I would regret the things that I just didn't do out of fear. Now, this is the case across like basically every aspect of my life, whether that's like professional or adventurous or, you know, financial or whatever. Honestly, this framework for like how I make decisions and how I've been trying to live my life, really the origin is not with transition things at all. The origin is very much with the rest of like my life. But I think I've been using this framework applied to my transition. And once I really took the framework of not being afraid to try things in the context of the decision to start testosterone, it became clear very quickly that, you know, especially as this was something I was thinking about consistently every day, like what if I was on T, what if I was on T, what if I was on T, it became clear very quickly that it was something that I think I would regret if I didn't at least try it. And so here we are, starting low-dose testosterone. So I think that low-dose T, knowing that that was an option, was really helpful, because as a musician, I care a lot about my voice. And so I really want to take as much care of it as possible. And so the thought of like having a drastic voice drop over the course of like only a year was really scary to me. So I think low-dose T is a really good option for me, just because I can kind of take that a step at a time and kind of just see how it goes. I think furthermore, just knowing that T is something that I could literally stop at any time if I felt like I was no longer getting what I wanted out of it, or if I was seeing changes that I didn't like, I could just stop, and that would be totally okay. I don't know whether or not T is going to be a forever thing for me, right? I don't know whether, you know, in 20 years I'm still going to be on T. I don't know whether I'm going to stop after 2 months because I feel like I've gotten a sufficient voice drop and don't really feel like I need anything else. Like, I don't know how that's gonna go. So this will be kind of an adventure that you'll get to share with me, and we'll see where it goes. I will say that after being on T for 2 weeks now, I definitely don't regret it, not yet. And I really appreciate the changes that I am seeing. And so I'm very eager for more changes to be coming. And as I've felt like some changes that I felt like are like healthier and helping me be more of myself, I think I've appreciated my decision to just like jump off of the diving board and start it and try it. I do just want to make clear that the decision to go on hormones or not is a very personal decision, that like just because this is the decision that I've made for myself does not mean that it's the right decision for everyone. It doesn't mean that I think it's the right decision for everyone. Obviously, if it's something you're considering, please talk to a therapist, talk to your medical provider, just to make sure that it's the right thing for you. That is all I have on the topic of going from I'm not on T to I'm on T now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that at least something resonated with you, and that at the very least it was an enriching experience to kind of learn someone's perspective on these things. So I hope that it was helpful. Please do consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel and hitting the notification bell if you would like to see more of my content. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you're doing well and that you have a wonderful day. Until next time.